they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. Then he will send out the angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven. From the fig tree, learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that he is near, at the very gates. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But about that day or hour, no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Beware, keep alert, for you do not know when the time will come. It is like a man going on a journey. When he leaves home and puts his slaves in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to be on the watch. Therefore, keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or at dawn, or else he may find you asleep when he comes suddenly. And what I say to you, I say to all, keep awake.
Happy holiday. Happy holiday. It just screams happy holidays, doesn't it? It's an interesting way to start the season. Every year, I'll talk about that in a second, though, because I think it's a powerful. So he's arguably one of the greatest American artists in history. Yet ask people if they have ever heard of him, and most will overwhelmingly say, no, never heard of him. His name is Henry Ossawa Tanner, African-American painter who was born in Pittsburgh in 1859 before being raised in Philadelphia for most of his young life. Henry's father was a minister in the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and his mother was a former slave who was sent to her freedom by her mother as part of the Underground Railroad. Growing up, Henry showed an early appreciation and knack for art, especially painting, though his parents didn't necessarily approve. Much of that disapproval was due, sadly, to the lack of opportunity for black artists in the later 19th century. He also developed a love, an absolute passion for the stories of the Bible. And young Henry absorbed his religious upbringing as taught to him by his father's religious tradition and his vocation as a pastor, minister. His immersion in biblical stories would prove pivotal as religious themes became central to much of the painting that he would do in his later life. He is even recorded to have said that religious painting for him was, quote, preaching with my brush. And through his brush, and armed with his knowledge of the stories of his faith, he set out early on in his career to create works of art that were intimately human and human-centered and true to their context, rather than so much of the kind of fake, idealized religious art of the day, especially when it came to religious topics. Now, eventually Tanner went and he entered art school, enrolling in the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, where he studied under the well-known, I bet more of you know this name, the great American artist Thomas Eakins. And Tanner here excelled in painting. He exhibited obvious natural talent and a way of capturing the essence of his subjects that was kind of intimate and immersive, and he stood out among artists for his use of light in amazing ways. And again, for kind of, you see in that painting there, his self-portrait and his tenderness in portraying the human condition and people, taking us into the souls of the figures that he was representing. And we should have been on the fast track. Should have been on the fast track to artistic stardom in the U.S. But you know what happened? Racism and his lack of opportunity for black artists and the downright hostility he experienced in the art world. Well, with that, he was forced to make a decision. Would he stay in the United States and do something else? It wasn't going to be accepted as an artist, as sad as that is. Or should he leave and pursue his art in a new place that was just less hostile to him for being a black man? Well, it didn't take him long to decide. And at age 30, he left for Paris, and his career took off. France was not immune, as we know, to the brutal nature of racism, but still, France did offer him what the U.S. did not: the freedom to pursue his dream and to be treated as a profession. And in France, he quickly rose to prominence in the Paris art scene, and by the 1890s, he was receiving widespread international praise. And his talent was simply amazing. He painted many subjects. I want to share two that aren't our nativity Christmassy scenes, but they're two of my all-time favorite paintings. The first one's called The Banjo Lesson, and the second one is called The Thankful Poor. And these are both, you just look at them, they're gentle, they're honest images of the lives of African Americans. And he painted them to counter the often vicious, racist, unfair images that were often portrayed by white artists of African Americans and shared out in the white-driven media. So that's why there's huge power in these paintings as a symbol to what life was actually like, the tenderness of black families. I don't know about you, but I think we should have both of these prints hanging somewhere in this church because they fit exactly what we were about: music, love of music, and centering and prayer. So I think we need to make that happen. But for our purposes, as we journey into the season of Advent today, with Christmas right around the corner, I want to focus on Tanner's religious art and themes this year. For in his stunning, grounding works and through his alluring use of light, I see the hopes and dreams of all the years met in these tonight, as they say. Now, through the lenses of a few of his most powerful nativity and Christmas-themed paintings, I want to invite us to explore this theme of light and ask ourselves how we can live ever deeper into the meaning of this season as a time of God breaking in upon us when we least expect it. And when the world least expects it, into contexts where oppression he experienced as a black man in a Reconstructionist, post-slavery, still viciously racist world that he lives. So Tanner's work offers us a lens into the stories of Christmas from a vantage point closer to the world that they were created in. For much like Mary and Joseph, Tanner also had to leave his homeland because there was no room for him as a black man at the inn. He too had to travel to find a place of refuge to birth something new and wonderful into the world. He too had to use his oppression to tell an old story in a new way of a God who seeks out not the powerful, sorry Christian nationalists, not the rich, sorry billionaires, not the wealthy, not the tyrants. I won't name anyone. God does not seek them to break into the world through our stories tell us, but the lost, and the scared, and the struggling, to be born in light through them. But that is the power of Advent and Christmas, and that is the power of this man's amazing art. I mean, look no further than this painting has left me spellbound this week. It's called the Annunciation to the Shepherds in the Field, painted by Tanner in around 1895. And the way he uses the light, and you look at that light, the surprise, the darkness, especially a sense of ordinariness, to tell the story of a God who will break in upon us when we least expect it. Now, I know we're fast forwarding the story a little bit by focusing on a painting of the shepherds, for whom the angel, as a blinding light, appears to tell them about the birth of Jesus after he's born. But for me, this is the pivotal story of this season, and an excellent one to guide our Advent journey, because it reminds me that God presence, Emmanuel, God with us, it doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't wait for the perfect people. And it doesn't wait for the perfect time to break into space and time, to well up among us. Rather, it can, and it does, arrive any time, that God presence. It arrives in the middle of the night. It arrives in the middle of exhaustion. It arrives in the middle of a diagnosis. It arrives in the middle of a tough patch in life. It arrives in the middle of grief. It arrives in the middle of moments of joy and struggle and pain. And yes, here in this painting and this story, it arrives in the middle of fields where nobody important is watching and paying attention. That's what Tanner gives us here. He gives us tired shepherd laborers who are caught off guard in the dead of night, startled by a light and a presence that they cannot ignore. And keep in mind, you hear this refrain throughout the season, shepherds, after all, were about as low as one could go in society then, when it comes to status. Basically, they were homeless wanderers. They were poor and they were outcast. And it's hard to see here in this light, but if you look at the painting up close, you'll notice a few things about them. It shows them they are poor, and they're dirty, and they are cold. Look at the fire. They're tired and they're exhausted. They are people just trying to get through the night, to the light of another day. And yet, they are the ones who God chooses in our stories of this season to announce good, life-changing, hopeful news to poor, cold, tired shepherds, or as we're going to explore next week, to a scared, oppressed young woman named Mary. The unexpected. Always the unexpected. God breaks into the unexpected ordinary, choosing the overlooked, the scared, the reeling, and in the case of Tanner's painting, turns a dirty field into a sanctuary and tired laborers into the first messengers of hope and joy of the birth of Jesus. And what this painting whispers to us then, as we go through the season of Advent, the season of waiting for that birth, is this. This is important. That God can meet them there. That God can meet this mystery that we name God, can meet them there, in a field that no one cared about, amongst people that no one cared about. Well, then God can meet us here, in our lives, that we actually live, in the moments that we least expect, with a light that still has the power to change everything. That's why Advent begins every year. That scripture passage that Tom read. I mean, every year this season comes at us with a reminder that, life is hard. That God is hard, isn't it at times? It's messy. There's real suffering in the world and in our lives. It's a gloomy text to welcome in what's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year, but it's a strangely necessary one. Because it reminds us that in the midst of the times that these ancient writers were living through that wrote that text, let me just say, you don't write a text like that if you're not going through something. Well, life was hard. I mean, you heard it. The moon ceasing to give light. The sun darkened. People told not to look back, but just keep on running over the hills. Keep on fleeing. The times were difficult in the context of that text. And yet Advent insists on starting there, in the darkness, Not to dampen our spirits as we roll into the season, but because the story demands honesty. Because real hope is never born in denial. You know? It's born in the very places when the world feels unsteady, our lives feel unsteady, and the future feels uncertain. Advent begins in the dark so that we can tell the truth about our lives and still believe that the presence of God will meet us like a ray of light in the midst of it all. And that is why this is the very best time of the year. Because we all journey in the darkness. Every single one of us. Like in the story, and like in Tanner's life, and like in those times of our scripture passage. But the story doesn't end there. The story doesn't end there. There's so much more light and joy and hope to bring forth. That is the power and beauty of this season. Next week, we're going to pick up on these themes again by looking at Tanner's incredible painting, Annunciation. Let's take a look at that for a moment now. We're going to shift our focus from our own lives and into the world around us as we unpack the power of a story where God and good news comes again not to the tyrants of the world, not to the powerful, but often to the powerless and to those whom the tyrants oppress. We'll explore what that says about this mystery that we name God in terms of hope for the world through the eyes of a young woman named Mary. A young woman who a brand new book I'm reading just came hot off the presses. He calls Mary the best known and least known woman in history. Let me just say, there's something about Mary. But it's not something that we've ever really been encouraged at all to explore. But we will next week. Maybe for 2 weeks, actually. So until then, my friends, may Advent and Christmas hope this candle bathe you in the same light that shone upon those shepherds unexpectedly long ago. As you're going through in life right now, the world is going through hard times, and the personal hard times that many of us are struggling through right now. May that light find you in this season. And may the things of this season, hope, and love, and joy, and peace illuminate your path all the way along the journey. Let's make it a transformative and powerful and amazing Advent, and then celebrate the heck out of Christmas. Peace be with you all. Hope be with you all. Amen. concerns today, we hold sacred space for, sacred hope for this season. First of all, I lift up Diana Doan. Diane's here online with us, but Diane's sister died unexpectedly last week, her younger sister. So Diane, we hold you and your family in our hearts and prayers this day. And lean on us as you need to. It's that for always during this time of year, right? It's hard. Yeah, you and your family. I want to lift up Carolyn Shorter as well. Who's going to got some not the greatest news that she wanted at all. Hoping to be back here singing, but she won't be able to join us. She's going to be having a radiation treatment in January. So hold Carolyn Shorter in your hearts and prayers. Let's take a space for Carolyn. And I'll lift up Don Miller. Don isn't back. Mark isn't back. They've had one brutal week. Staying in the hospital for Don, and procedure, and I was looking at undergoing some more testing this week to figure out what's going on. So yeah, if you want to know a little bit more, I'm sure you can talk to Don and Mark, but all we need to know is just hold you in the light this week, hold you in the hope, hopefully Don thinking about you. And, you guys lean on us in this time, okay? We're here for you. Okay? And I'll say to you, my friend, absolutely. Yeah. And then finally, hold Karen Burke. It's Lynn Bridges' friend. We've been praying for Karen for several weeks. She's a dear friend. Was just going through a heck of a bad time health-wise. So we'll get the Karen Burke with us. I'm going to give you a chance to lift those people and places, maybe those situations, something's weighing on your heart and mind. So I invite you to close your eyes. Just share the names aloud, those who are on your heart, that you want to gain in Advent and Christmas hope this year.
Steve. Ukraine.
Don. Lori.
Jerry Wilson.
E.
Mary.
Jill.
Holy One, as we enter this first season of Advent, we breathe in the gift of hope. You meet us in the shadows, oh God, steady and compassionate, reminding us that what's going on, really hope is always still possible. In this season of waiting, teach us to slow down and listen. Let hope grow in us, not as wishful thinking, but as courage to face the world honestly. Hope for its renewal. We pray for a world where differences lead to understanding, where respect guides our choices, where justice lifts those who are pushed to the margins. Turn our hearts toward caring for the earth. Immigrant sisters and brothers, the poorest in the world, and all who call it home. Hold close this day, all who carry heavy burdens. Those who are grieving, or ill, lonely, or feeling overwhelmed. Let your light rest gently on them, move us to offer kindness and real, tangible things. We rest in the light of this candle of hope. Remind us that we are always company, always stirring compassion in broken places of our lives and our world. So have that God of the waiting and expectant guide us through this season. Open hearts, steady. We're joined in praying together the interpretation of that ancient prayer that our brother Jesus will grow to teach us. The words are on the screen. Perfect. December 6th, 11 a.m., right there in the gathering space. Just bring a dish to share. If you have any questions, Lily and Esther are out here somewhere. They're sitting over there. They'd be happy to tell you more about today, which is marking the next Saturday. I can't believe we're already almost into December. That's crazy. 11 a.m. gathering space, and to benefit the Global Fund for Widows, Kenya and Tanzania. So, yeah, what a great event. That is, I wanted to get this one out there. I love this picture. I call this beautiful people ugly sweaters and amazing cookies. But December 21st, we've been doing this the last couple of years, and I encourage you to wear your crazy ugly sweater or your pajamas or whatever you got. You can make it kind of fun. We usually sing some. I like to tell the stories of some of our secular Christmas songs out there, so I'll probably do that again. A couple that we haven't done before. We'll just sing, and then bring the cookies. And you all love to bake, right? You love to bake. I bet some of you make some mean Christmas cookies. So bring some to trade, some to share. Let's make it a swap. And some to enjoy here. So let's just have a good time. We'll fill that table in the gathering space with all those wonderful cookies. So that is December 21st. I know you'll mark that one on your calendar for sure. Speaking of Advent, we have our tree up and the Advent boxes. Hopefully you're working on those at home. You know, it's where you take a box and you put an item in each day for Not Eating Cares, rather than taking a piece of chocolate out of some calendar on the wall. Advent calendars. Put a piece of food, put some food in, put some dog food, some cat food, some coffee, and build a box of your own. It has, roughly 30 items or however many days Advent is, and then bring them in. We'll put them under the tree on the 4th Sunday of Advent or right after Christmas, and then we'll get all that food over to Not Eating Cares. So yeah, start working on the Advent boxes, and we'll make it help make it a even better New Year for the folks that need that food at Not Eating Cares. So speaking of boxes, there's a box on the back table for your donations. I've already seen people putting in gift cards and things. Julie, do you have anything you want to add to the Happy Christmas?
Just remember to bring in any unwrapped gifts for teenagers.
Yes.
And if you have a gift bag, put it in a gift bag, otherwise they will supply them. But I figure any cost that we can convert for them would be great. And we'll put them under the tree as well. I'm going to collect them all and take them to left on the 9th of December.
9th of December.
We got 1 week, people, next week.
Right.
Bring them in.
So we're shopping for kids age 13 to 16.
13 to 18.
13 to 18, boys and girls both. So go find a new gift, unwrapped, or you can do a gift card. That's a great way. You can drop them in the box or just put them in the back there. There's already some gifts back there. And these will go to kid families that have to sponsor it to give them a wonderful Christmas. So I'll put all this in the newsletter this week as well. So I'll see the information there. But yeah, get out there shopping and get those gifts in by. And you already heard it. Congregation meeting today. We have real quick here, I want to, Dan Man left me a note here, and we just want to give Dan a big old thanks. I'm going to read it, Dan, because you wrote it so well. It's been my pleasure over the last 4 years to act as a coordinator of HEP, speaking of HEP, at Faith UCC. It is time for new blood and energy, a person with deep understanding of the purpose for HEP and demonstrating commitment to its work. So first of all, I want to thank Dan for his service. And some little bit of chaos over there at times, and kept us steady, and got a great group of volunteers over there. So Dan, thank you for all your work on that. That means the world to us. So yeah, now Dan went on. I recommended Dawn Kydell as coordinator for HEP at Faith UCC. She served as a volunteer, more work shifts than any other member of our team, and during these years of service, she developed a strong line of communication with the chief chefs, and that's important, both present and past. President Chef comments to me that he feels at ease when he must step out of the kitchen for a moment, when he knows Dawn is there, kind of like we do in the hospitality over here. I don't think Dawn's here today, is she? Dawn is traveling. She's up in Wisconsin, I guess. Packerland up there. We'll forgive her for that, though. But I too share the same feelings and respect and thankfulness for her devotion to HEP. It is my intent to be an active volunteer at HEP. So thank you. We're just a little. We'll be talking to Dawn and make sure that she's interested in doing this, but she would be phenomenal. I think she is. Yeah, so Dan, thank you again for your hard work and dedication and all your service. If you've never seen the pictures, you haven't served at HEP, and you want to know more about it, we'll talk to Dan. He's still doing this for a little while longer. And you often get to serve with like baseball. I've seen Major League Baseball players. Sue and Joan, you guys have served with some baseball. I've seen some pictures of some athletes, and yeah, so you get to serve with some cool people over there too. You never know who you're going to meet as you're serving people and need Christ to them. And yeah, so yeah, thank you very much. Okay, my friends, and I do want to say thanks for all your giving. You are generous. We are still looking for pledges. If you haven't had a chance to pledge, and you didn't get a pledge card, we'll get one to you. I think they're on the table in the back as well by the plates. So we're trying to get to that 100% pledging this year, which would be phenomenal. And if you are visiting with us, you're like, I love this place. I love what I felt here. I got all this cash in my pocket because I returned some early Christmas gifts and Black Friday shopping. So you can leave a love offering there. If you're online, just go to our website, faithucc.org, and you can give right on the PayPal link. Thank you for your incredible generosity, all that you do, and all that you are. Yeah. Well, hey, let's rise up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to rise up. We're going to sing our way, not out of here. We're going to sing our way back into our seats. Sing our way back into our seats. For those who want to stick around for our congregational meeting, Julie will come up and call that meeting to order. And we'll talk about the budget for the year. But I want to wish you an amazing Advent week full of hope. And I hope you find this to be a really meaningful season. Live it with intention, live it with joy, and bask in it this year. We need Advent this year. We really do. And we especially need what Christmas is going to offer us in a couple of ways. Let there be peace on earth, my friends, and let it begin with us.
Thank you.